There we
So
go.
let's want to move into NVIDIA, but before we move into NVIDIA, let's just run through any questions right now.
Well, why don't we focus on NVIDIA?
Sure.
Let's just
go
to there.
Now, we've done a SLS install several times now, both on ground, etc. And
right.
we need to experiment with the KVMs that are on FCL server for these host names. Did you look at those yet?
The KVMs that are on FCL.
So on FCL server install.
Oh, those
Jira,
guys.
I believe it was, JIRA. I created AutoYAS files for the 12 servers that Joe Eugene wants. Modified their host names, modified their IP addresses, but we couldn't go ahead until we knew the sizes of the routes and what the file systems were going to be like. Because we've got 12 of these things, and some of them are like 1 terabyte and 500 gig.
Excuse me.
And we'd rather move some of that stuff off of the SSD drives. So there you go.
So,
and I also have a test scratch one in there. So I've already edited these things to tweak them, but they're all based upon the same template, just cloned. If you did a diff on any of them, you could just diff any two. Go ahead and diff. Don't cat. They're too big.
Oh, they're too big?
Yeah. Do a WC-L, see how big one is. WC space -L.
I'm sorry.
Okay. WC-L. WC for word count.
Oh, doing word count. Okay.
What do we got here? Go ahead. Hit enter. Yep. 1,600 lines. I don't want to go through that stuff. But go ahead and diff two of them. Any two. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, so basically the server name is different. I thought the IP addresses. We'll have to double check these again. IP addresses should have changed in those two as well. IP ADDR. No lowercase IP ADDR.
Okay, like that?
Yeah. I'll have to go back through and check them. So they are, that's one, go ahead. They are both at 82.1. The server 01 is probably the bad one. I'll fix that later. Let's diff two others, other than skip one of them. Let's see if the others got fixed.
Okay.
So I was even going to try to fire these up and test them on a scratch without pre-allocating and all that sort of stuff. So that's more what I was.
Bad one.
Yeah, that's more what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So your host names, your IP addresses, the certificate host name. Okay.
Cool. Did you get a chance to get that auto boot thing working on ground?
So what I did was, even with you need to make a note of this too. With the web interface to get to the console, and we did that the other day, we'll come back to that at some point. I don't always have luck getting into the BIOS. And make a note of this. Control backspace is sometimes a BIOS instead of delete. I just know that from experience from other SGI products. So sometimes when it says hit delete to get into setup, sometimes control backspace is actually the keystroke you need. So I was able to get into BIOS, but then I wasn't able. I gave up. I basically deleted the auto boot we had for ground that you were with that we set up. I deleted that one. So it basically auto boots to EFI now. And then you still have to do the FS5 : But I
Okay.
tried rebooting a couple of times to drop back into BIOS to add a boot option now with the new thing and test it, but it was just too painful dropping into BIOS, trying to get it to recognize the keys to BIOS. And the other trick that I do there, by the way, when it's starting to boot, when you see the ELILO stuff, I'll hit garbage keys and hit enter, so it's looking for a kernel that's crap. And then it will stop the load, which was hanging, right? Remember?
Right. Yep.
I was able to stop that from hanging by just hitting some random keys, hitting enter, and then waiting a minute or two, and it'll fall back to the EFI shell. So having difficulty getting into BIOS and setup to be able to change my boot order, or in particular to drop into EFI so that I could do things, was not that fun. So right now when it boots, and we'll get into this when we get a chance, it'll drop to the EFI shell, and then you do your FS5 : and then go into EFI SUSE and run ELILO. Okay. Does that make sense right now?
Yes, it does.
So I got as far as deleting the one that we had created that was hanging, and loading from FS5 works. We just had to recreate a new auto boot, but I thought it might even be better just to be manually involved in it anyways, because sometimes it was rolling back to the ESXi and stuff like that.
I just know Tom had trouble with that, and he, because he just went and powered it on, expected it to boot up.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I've got another box there, Sandbox, that also has a problem where I need to get the auto boot set. But sometimes, I don't know if USPS, for a while they wanted auto boot on, then they wanted it off. I don't know where they are on that right now. So anyway, you've gotten quite a bit of experience now with the serial console, reading BIOS. You talked about your export license keys that was visible in BIOS, using the watch BIOS command, getting the serial console through the SMN, the UV config, stuff like that right now. Any questions in that area right now?
Just, can I get on like Thought 2 and practice some of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm getting pressure to, by end of year, give the system back to the Hadoop project. So that's kind of why I'm trying to keep pushing on this.
Okay, so I'm going to defer those questions then until I can get on and kind of go through that again.
So what I wanted to do was follow through from where we left off, which was basically we got an OS installed. And in our case, we were using an LVM root to replicate what USPS is doing. Okay. And we also had to go to rescue mode because the kernel the initRD did not define the device mapper kernel module needed to initiate and scan for LVM labels to do the mounts. So we went into rescue mode, mounted all those partitions, including sysdev. In fact, we got tangled with unmounting and being able to do a clean unmount. All that was really good practice for you.
Yeah, it was. And I got burned by the typical being in the directory I'm trying to unmount.
Yes, I know, or proc being mounted or whatever.
Right.
And then sometimes another forgetful thing is you're still in chroot, the prompt looks the same, and you don't realize you're not in chroot, and things don't make sense. So at some point, I want to pull off. What we want to do is get all of your files together. I'm deliberately making you go out and get the files. Okay, I'm just making you do the work.
Yeah.
That .58 became a problem over the weekend.
Which one did?
The NVIDIA .58 driver that we downloaded.
Oh, yeah. So
it doesn't seem to work when I've mixed 750s and K40s. It works when they're single, but not when they're both on the same. Okay? So I had to roll back and did some testing ahead of time, but rolled back to check on things. So we had large do an ls on /root, uppercase N. On FCO server, there's in root, uppercase N, tab. Their tab key, is it anything there?
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. Well, let's just go to deep one.
Oh, permission denied. I'm not.
That's why.
Yeah.
Go to root. ls on /root, /uppercase N, tab. Tab again, twice. So you see there's both a .46 and a .58.
Okay.
And we went off to www.nvidia.com and pulled those down. And one of the problems I had, by the way, was I didn't have a 32-bit version of it. So part of this has to do with whether I pulled down the K40M driver or the Titan 750, the GeoForce 750 Titan driver, which NVIDIA told me are the same driver, but then this 58 started having troubles when both devices were in the same system. So I don't want to use the .58.
Right.
But I did want to try it ahead of time, and if we ever get past and all the 750s are gone, then we will reevaluate upgrading the NVIDIA driver. Okay?
Yep.
Just go ahead, bring up your browser, go to www.nvidia.com. Now, once we're in the support program officially, I'm hoping that we can get email notices when the software updates or software revs have changed, when they pushed a new one out there. So go to support, go to download drivers, you got it. So now here's where we get into trouble. So go into Tesla K40M, and notice there's only a 64-bit there. There's no 32-bit.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And the problem is these spec files expect both. So once the support program's in place, I can find out more about that. But now, go ahead and do a search. So that's the 58, or what is it now? What's that rev level? 340.32?
32.
340?
Yeah, 340.32.
So that's way too old.
Yeah.
We have to be at a .36 or higher, or there is a memory addressing bug that will hang your system and corrupt your roots or corrupt your fats and stuff.
So where'd you get your drivers from? Or your...
Yeah, again, the NVIDIA support person, Laurie Brown, told us to use the 750. So now let's go backwards, go back, and let's look for the GeoForce 750.
Just the 700 series or the 700M?
50 Ti.
Okay.
And pull that down, and you'll see that both 32 and 64 are there. So go ahead and hit 64. Go ahead. So that's the .58.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's not that's not working very well for us, and I don't know why. It will work standalone. So on Thought 1, where I've got just a K40M, it works. And on Deep 2, but when they're mixed, it doesn't.
Huh.
Now, the .46 is the one that I actually got from NVIDIA directly as a result of our patch request and stuff like that in October. So that .46 I got was actually not downloaded, but provided to me through the support channel.
But is that a 750 driver again?
We didn't specify.
Okay. And that one runs both types?
Yes, I haven't had any problems with the .46, so that's my known good.
Okay, cool.
36 never made it to a release. We had a patch level of the .36, but that never showed up on the download page.
Uh-huh.
.46 is my baseline. That we've got to be at a .46. Nothing older or newer works right now.
Huh.
And I guess that's part of my job is to try to test this stuff, but also decide at what point do we want to try new drivers and stuff. So every time there's a possibility of me providing them with a newer set of RPMs, and I investigate to see, well, how does the latest software work? Do I want to try anything new?
Uh-huh.
And I got problems with Fusion IO. I got problems with NVIDIA, so I'm just keeping everything where it is right now. It works, right?
Exactly, right?
So anyway, let's break out of there.
Okay. All right.
So CD, or let's go to Thought 1, SSH to Thought 1.
SGI?
Yes.
Boy, I had a rough day yesterday. I couldn't remember any passwords or anything.
Yeah, I have those. They pop up tomorrow, by the way. This is the root that I unfortunately stepped on that should have been a Hadoop root.
Yeah.
And my mistake. Let's do an LS on it. I'm going to redo it anyways. By the way, when I'm doing Puppet, that Ruby Aegis is not in SLES, and I have to grab it. Basically, it came out of Hadoop distribution. So I see a .58
really?
there.
So Puppet didn't have it in their distribution?
I need to open up a case with Novell to get it into SLES.
Yeah.
And Postal has the same issue where they have to go off and it's not integrated into SLES.
So you had to go to Hadoop to get it, huh?
Well, I went to my repository in FCL Server to look, and I found it in Hadoop, and I grabbed that one. Where they got it, I don't know. But I started with my own repos, and I said, well, what's out there did I find? And instead of finding it in SLES or the SDK, I found it in Hadoop and said, good enough. I'm not going to look any further.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Now, we don't know what's going on here, so let's just start off with an inventory. Let's do an LS CPU. No, one word.
Yep.
CPU, yep.
There we go.
So we got 6 CPUs. We got 8 nodes, 8 sockets. Okay?
Okay.
How much memory do we got? Do more on proc mem info.
Oh, okay. There we go.
So we got 2 terabyte of memory there.
2 terabytes.
Go ahead, quit out of there. There is a NUMA CTL-H. Try that. NUMA CTL-H. Big H maybe? For hardware. Big H, sorry.
Sure.
That'll tell you a little bit about the system too, the CPUs that are on each node, the CPU numbering schemes, right? How big each node is in memory, how much is free. And then you got kind of a node distance map. Now, those numbers are not in any sort of unit. They are a relative number, just kind of giving you a relative distance between the nodes. Okay? So, what do we got for disks now? Probably start off with an LS SCSI. So we have a whole bunch of SSD drives in there. Those are part of the Hadoop project.
Okay.
Then we've got the last two are our root. And notice the SSD 910s came up before my root disks.
Right.
So my root disk came up actually as SDR. That's always a pain in the butt. You can't trust SDA or SDB to be your root. Okay?
Yep.
Now, why would it do that? That depends upon the order of the drivers and the scanning of buses, and usually stuff on PCIs are discovered before stuff that's attached to the base I/O motherboard. Network interfaces, things like that, will often be discovered before the motherboard as well. Okay? So let's do a DF-H. So we have an LVM file system layout here, VG, and I'm using the USPS naming conventions now. So it's VG underscore root disk or FIO disk. And then the volume group basically being what it's mounted as, root, export, var, and var crash. I have a FAT, it can't do LVM. And I presently do, this is left over, but I mounted the other root to see what's on it, and it wasn't the Hadoop that I thought it was. It's a GPU DB, so I stepped on the wrong root. Notice also I've mounted /install. Okay?
Yep.
So that's my disk layout. What do we got? About 13 gig. I was a little surprised when we started off with our last session, and when we ended up with the last video recording, we left with a make. That filled up the 10 gig file system.
Yeah.
So I went into LVM and actually grew that file system. And why don't we do that for fun right now?
Okay.
Go into YAST. Just type YAST. Go to System. Tab over. Go to Partitioner. We're going to cross our fingers.
Right. Oh, what more can we do?
By the way, another thing to consider here, Art, is to get a USB drive and build the UV root on that USB drive. And then Tom can plug it in and pull it out.
Not a bad idea.
That way you can always have, instead of having a backup, you're actually running off the USB drive. It's good enough for our purposes. Anyway, tab into the system view in the upper left, go down to volume management, and then hit a plus sign. There we are. Go down to VG root and hit a plus sign.
Now you got your...
And we wanted to grow root alone, so go up one.
Okay, go here.
Go ahead and hit enter. So over on the right, you start to see information about it.
I see a resize.
What did I do here? I named these wrong. Boy, when I did this root, it must have been at 3 in the morning or something. I stepped on the wrong root, and I labeled them VG instead of VGLV for logical volume.
Yeah.
So we're going to blow this root away.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
You want me to delete them?
No, not right now.
Oh.
I'll work with this root, but we're going to get rid of this root. Keep going. Resize. There you go.
All right.
That's what we're here for. So let's just grow it. It's at currently 25 gig. So let's go to custom size. Select it. Let's just make it 30 gig.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about fragmentation issues and things like that. Now, this is SSD, so I'm not concerned. Tab to OK. There you go.
Well, that's pretty straightforward. Not bad.
And again, it can be done by command line. I'm just using the GUI for convenience and not fight with syntax. So let's tab to next. And finish.
Oops. There we go.
Now you can see it's extending. Tab to quit. DF-H. And you can see it went from 25 to 30 gig.
Well,
Now, there was space in root disk to grow this. Okay? So we have a 300 gig SSD there, and we're not using all 300 gig. What we got there? 30 gig, 2 gig, 30 gig, 99 gig for crash. That's the biggest one.
Didn't you say the post office leaves like 100 gig on the table?
Yes. So I was pretty much trying to map it, but their root was 10 gig, and we used that as a starting point. But to build a kernel, I needed at least 13 gig.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. You're going to want at least a 20 gig root if you're going to be building a kernel on it.
I know a 10 gig is awful small.
Well, 3 gig. You can have a 3 gig root. But anyway.
Well, yeah.
Moving forward, so that was the first thing. Now, RPM Q8 grep for kernel. So I did a quick hardware inventory. Now I'm doing a quick software inventory. RPM Q8 grep for kernel.
Oh, RPM. Just all one word like that?
RPM space dash QA.
Dash QA, okay. That's right.
Grep.
And
kernel.
Okay.
Now you see that kernel Linux kernel headers 2632?
Yep.
Ignore it. It's not a problem. It's legacy. It's not going to hurt you. Don't be misled by it. Okay? I had Gaia staffs complaining that I was building kernels wrong and that thing shouldn't be there. And I said, you see the second from the bottom one, kernel default dash devel?
Yep.
That replaced the Linux kernel headers.
Uh-huh.
So it's the development package that has all that stuff now. So when you install the kernel source, you're also it's going to have a dependency on the -devel.
Yeah.
Notice though, kernel-source does not have default in it.
Right.
Do a zipper space zypper space PA for packages, pipe grep, kernel, pipe. I'm going to do it my way. Pipe grep. Let's just space -e
okay.
space 101 space 40 or 101 space -e 40. So notice there's a kernel Zen. Scroll up. I was hoping to reduce it down to just the 40s, but it looks like I didn't. I got a whole bunch of others. There's a trace. There's an EC2. There's a big SMP. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Look at the third package from the top. Look at the third package from the top. So you've got a big SMP-devel.
Yep.
Chances are we're going to need those. Okay? So go back to where you were, hit enter. Oh, I guess up arrow, the RPM, let's see the RPM QA again. RPM, yeah, that one. Go ahead.
On that.
So we don't care about the headers, even though it's a 2632, that's legacy. It can exist on the system. It's for backward compatibility. It is not an eyesore. It doesn't bother you. Then we got our kernel-default. Now, this is a .35, and my concern is on the SGI support site, they're reporting an NFS server bug in the .35 kernel.
Oh.
Now, I'm still going to run with the .35 kernel because that's what U.S. Postal is upgrading to. But if the UVs are going to be an NFS server, we need to watch for that. And in fact, remember when Magma was in town and we had some NFS server hangs during boot on the UVs? I don't know if you saw that.
Right. Yeah.
I was watching as well, and I tried to restart the NFS server on FCL server. That did not clean it up. I didn't try to unload and reload the kernel module or anything like that, though. I didn't double check it. I just did a service NFS server stop and start. That didn't clean it up. And then I saw the report on the SGI website, so that's why I rolled back FCL server, because that's our bread and butter NFS server for everything. Okay?
Yep.
Kernel-default, that's the kernel itself, including most kernel modules, the device mapper stuff, that, extended 3, things like that. If there are external kernel modules that are not in that, do an RPM-QA, pipe grep KMP. Okay? So those are, and notice the last one is the one that we build. That comes from us.
Uh-huh.
That's what we're working on right now.
Okay.
Any questions yet?
Just a sec.
Go ahead, do an RPM QL on one of them. RPM-QL.
On which?
Any one of those KMP RPMs. SGI-XPMEM. Copy paste it. Don't type it.
Yep.
Copy paste it. Too long.
We'll see here.
Any one of them. That's good. That was a good one. That's a good one. Okay? One file in it. Numatools.ko. Right?
Right.
2 directories above it. Notice the kernel is built against the 3076 U.11. You still with me? So we're looking at kernels.
When I'm looking at lib modules,
Yeah.
the 76-0.11/default.
Yeah.
That's the kernel you're talking about?
What?
That's the kernel you're talking about, kernel modules?
Third from the bottom line. Down that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Do uname-A.
Yeah, so we're
Different kernel. This is a 101.35.
Right.
LS mod, grep for Numatools. So it is loaded. Well, wait a second. The path is in a 3076, but we're running a 30101. How did it load it? Let's do this now. Do a mod info on Numatools. Pipe it into more. Mod info.
mod
INFO.
Yeah. On Numatools.
Numatools. Pipe it into more. Whoa, well, look at that path. Lib modules. Blah, blah, blah. Weak updates. Do an LS on that path. Yep.
Gotta get my cursor working better here.
I hear you. I can't read that. Unalias LS.
Yeah. Better?
So there's the SGI RPMs. Notice their path. Yet, towards the top of the screen, the Numatools, they were loaded in lib modules 3.0.76. Now do an ls-l. Up arrow, put an L in ls-l. Let's get a long listing.
All right. Come on. Oh, no. Come on, keyboard. All right.
We're talking about kernels and kernel modules, and all these kernel modules Look at, they're all linked. It's a symbolic link to the 76 where it was installed.
Oh, okay.
So every time you upgrade a kernel, do a SGI-P tab. SGI-P tab. No, sorry, one command. SGI, no space, -P tab. There you go. Hit enter. What this is going to do is go through and show you every kernel module that's loaded there. Now up arrow and do it with the -R. What this does is links that 76 path to every kernel that you have. If you have multiple kernels, it will make sure that that kernel module exists in all those kernels. And you see the command right there, it's running, by the way, weak-modules2 --add-kmp, and then the name of the module. You see that?
Yep.
So SGI kernel modules, they don't rebuild them with every kernel. The release that just came out this November is probably built against the kernel that's available right now. But at the time this was built, it was still an MR kernel. Okay? So it's actually going through and updating initRD, running the make initRD command, and getting all of our kernel modules clean. All these kernel modules are in lib modules. If I get out of sync, if I, for example, change my kernel but don't reboot, I could end up with things out of sync, and the kernel I'm currently running might not find kernel modules because the lib modules for that kernel is gone. Well, go ahead, Control-C out of that thing.
All right.
Okay, so those are what the kernel modules are all about. Now go into lib modules.
Hang on a sec here. How about a half hour? Or are you hungry? All right. Well, I'll catch up to you about half hour. All right. Oh, yes. People are getting hungry here.
Yeah. Do an LS-R on that second one, the 76 one.
All right.
Then pipe it into more.
I still got to get this computer working. I don't know if you've noticed, but I can hardly see where the cursor is. Oops. All right.
So if you notice, go ahead. Most of that, you got the 101 okay, but we wanted the other one.
All right. So you wanted
the 76.
So you want
the second one there.
Yeah.
LS-R.
And I will try to get that up here. All right.
Type it into more. Actually, just hit return, see what's there.
Yeah.
Pretty empty.
Yeah, it wasn't much there.
Okay. So when we upgraded kernels, all the old kernel modules were scrubbed. Now, if I still have a 76 kernel in boot EFI SUSE, and that happened to me this last week, then I'm in trouble. So what I actually did was I copied the 35 kernel modules into the 76 kernel path. That's a really bad hack, but I was then able to boot and then able to fix everything.
Huh.
I was in the catch-22. So anyway, now go into user source, CD into /user/source. No, SRC.
Okay.
Enter. LS. ls-l.
Oh.
Notice that the Linux directory is linked into a kernel.
Yep. Okay.
Now, I got screwed up. I've been bit this several times where I start trying to build the kernel, but the kernel I'm running isn't matching the kernel I'm building. And then do an ls on /proc/con asterisk.
I'm sorry. C.
con asterisk flat, something like that. So you have that config.gz. Okay? This is how the kernel configuration, how the kernel is built. Do an ls on /boot/con splat. So there's one built for that kernel. So that's how that kernel was built. So the running kernel is in /proc, and then the one built with the kernel is in /boot. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
CD into Linux.
/Linux?
No.
Oh,
Just
is it
Linux.
where we're at?
Yeah. Now we're going into the kernel tree. So there's your kernel, MM is for memory management unit, network, FS file systems, includes, all that kind of stuff, okay? Do an ls-a.
Oh, yeah.
There is a .config file there. You see that sucker?
Yep.
Do a more on it. Okay? So that's all the decisions made about updating the kernel, or I should say building the kernel, how it's going to be built. If I change any one of these things, my kernel ABI has changed, and my kernel modules that are built against a default kernel won't load anymore. Now, when we left off last time, when you did a make, it said you got to run make old config. So if I just typed in make, it'll come back and say, you don't have a config file here. And then you can do a make old config, and it will copy the one out of boot. Or you could zip it and copy it out of proc as well. But you want it to match the way it's all being built.
Okay, so run that by me again, because I'm seeing a config file right here.
You're seeing what?
Isn't this the config file right here?
Yes, because I've already built it.
Oh, you were just talking about what we did before.
This is already built. I've saved an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
So if that .config is not there, then make will say, well, try a make old config, and then make old config will go to the boot directory to get it.
Yep.
Or if it's not there, you could try something out of /proc, but you have to be real careful because you might build a kernel that isn't built the same way as all the other kernels. So it happened to me over the weekend after we left off. I was on when we left off, your system that we built with the .31 kernel. And that was a we were in the June release. The October release is a .35 kernel. So I want to stick to the October updates when we work on this in the future. So anyways, I came in, we'd done the make, but that was on a .31 kernel. Then it filled up the file system. So I cleaned up the file system, did a make clean. But when I tried to do a make, it started prompting me for config questions because the kernel source that I had loaded was newer than the kernel I was running on. And it said, well, these config options aren't set. So it started asking me questions. I got about 5 questions. Do you want this on or off? Do you want this on or off? And I just picked the default. But I ended up with a bad kernel module anyways. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So just type in make. It's already been made. Again, it takes an hour and a half, but go ahead, just fire off make. Notice it's found a version.h, a UTS release.h. Mm-hmm. By the way, I had to fix this for Tom yesterday as well because when I rolled back the kernel, I had to rebuild the kernel source and everything. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
NVIDIA run script, that uppercase N script that we were looking at, requires the kernel to be built. Okay?
Yeah.
Now let's go let's go to the right window while that thing is running. It'll take about a minute or two here, but in the meantime, let's go use the other window. So log
Right.
into Thought One again.
I don't think I got an active window.
Yeah, putty timed out. I hate it.
Well, I was trying Sigwin just to see, but
The way I hope we can get Mike Lavley Thursday, but I told Tom, why are we meeting for lunch? Let's order pizza at your place.
oh, I didn't see that there's a lunch meeting thing.
At the Khan's Mongolian Grill in Roseville off of
Oh,
Snelling.
yeah. Oh, that was probably in his first email, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
Yeah,
your make is almost done on the other side anyways.
I see that.
Now, if I wanted to start over, I could do a make clean, but I kind of don't, it's personal preference because I always get into trouble here. I prefer to actually remove the RPMs and then clean up everything that's in that user source, go up a directory, CD up a directory, LS. So if I want to actually sanitize, rinse and reset, I will remove, do an RPM QA, grep per kernel.
I'm sorry, do an RPM.
M-QA.
Oh, dash QA, okay.
Grep per kernel. So I will remove the kernel dash source and the kernel dash default dash devel. They have to go in together. Remove them both, and then I will remove any Linux directory that's in that user source directory. So if I've got a 31 and a 35 and a 40, I've gotten into trouble trying to do that, and for me to clean and reset, I'll remove those two RPMs and then RM, any Linux directory in that user source directory. Okay? So moving on, CD. Let's get to what the call was about, NVIDIA. Just hit enter.
Oh.
Okay, let's just see what we got here. Topology --IO. And I see one NVIDIA device there, about halfway through it, on blade 11, I11B1. So I see one NVIDIA device, 1023.
Where's my cursor?
Go ahead and grep if you need to. Up arrow, pipe grep, NVIDIA.
Yeah. I was trying to highlight it with my cursor, but.
Okay. So we got one NVIDIA device that's showing up on rack 1, IRU11, the upper one, blade 1. And then we've got the PCI address, 0003.04.00.0, which we do have to be careful of. Let's do a grep. Type in grep.
Oh, sorry. What just happened? All right. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Windows just took me for a little ride is all.
Yeah.
Grep on what?
I forget what I was going to do now. Backspace, let's do an LSPCI and pipe grep NVIDIA. LSPCI, pipe grep NVIDIA. Good. So there's the same thing. It's on 003.04.00.0. Okay?
Yep.
Now, I remembered what we were going to do now. Grep space uppercase AER uppercase AER, space, /var/log/messages.
Nope, I don't see it.
Good, it's clean.
Oh,
On
that's a
Deeps,
good
we've got
thing.
error messages.
Oh,
Also do an NVIDIA-SMI, NVIDIA, no, lowercase,
okay. And then dash what?
dash, no space, NVIDIA dash, no space. One, there we are, SMI, one command name. SMI, yep.
Yep.
Enter. Ouch.
Failed.
That's the problem we're getting.
Right.
Go mod info on NVIDIA. Type it into more. Well, that's good enough. So
Yeah,
this
there's
is
not
a
much there.
.46, huh? Okay. It is a .46 running. See the
Is it?
version?
Yeah.
So there's something else going on here that's missing. But let's roll back anyways.
All right.
So CD. Yep, and do SH space. / uppercase N tab. Space -- uninstall. So this script requires, if I'm going to change the drivers, I'm going to have to manually uninstall the prior driver and then
But see,
install
this one
newer.
is saying it's a .58 that it's uninstalling.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but that's why we've got an error too.
Yeah.
So tab to yes. Actually, we don't care. We're not keeping it. During boot, you're going to see, that's okay. During boot, you might see a X11 error on boot because we don't have xorg x11.conf configured.
Okay.
Okay, hit OK. Now,
Yeah.
there's really no easy way of knowing if it's left any artifacts behind. Up arrow to that NVIDIA-SMI again. So I'll tell you what happened. I installed the newer 58, but I'm still running. I haven't rebooted and still have it loaded with the older kernel module. Okay? So I'm surprised it even found the NVIDIA-SMI command. So things are a little bit messed up here. Do an RM space NVIDIA-UVM. RM mod NVIDIA-UVM, Unified Virtual Memory, UVM. Okay. There you are. Good. Try that.
Nope.
Good. Try one with just NVIDIA.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So let's go into user source.
Now what happened?
Do we have a user source packages?
I'm
CD
trying.
into user packages.
Get into packages.
Yep.
All right.
CD into sources, uppercase. LS. So there's nothing there yet.
Yeah.
Did you happen to have files downloaded yet? Are they in a directory you can FTP from?
Yeah, so I got them over. These are the OpenSUSE ones?
Yes.
Oh, there they are.
Yep.
So you want me to move these over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
SFTP thought one, or root at thought one. SFTP root at thought one. SGI.
What am I not doing?
I thought.
No.
Maybe it's FedCentric, but thought we logged in. Was it
Oh,
SGI?
maybe I just fat fingered it. Looks like we're there now.
Okay. So CD in the user source packages sources. And push input everything. Okay, now where is the uppercase NVIDIA? Well, let's break out of there. Just quit out of there. Actually, we're going back to the other window now on the left.
Yeah.
See what we got in there. Okay. Let's see. Most of those are fine. I'm just the spec files. Do an MV. Move.
Oh, you want me to move them?
Yeah. Asterisk SPEC. And then / uppercase specs. Get them into the proper directory. Okay? Enter. Now we still need to get the run script thing, and we want the 46, not the 58. SFTP to deep one. Actually, it was on FCL server too. I don't care where you go. It's easier to type SGI. So let's go SFTP to deep one. SGI. Should be one in the top. Do an LS. So mget that .46. Mget uppercase N asterisk. Tab won't work here. Just asterisk.
Oh, that's
there you go.
We're in there.
Yep. Quit.
Okay.
Now this was my kludge. I don't like doing it, but we're going to cheat right now. Let's copy that thing. CP NVIDIA. I need to drop in a fake 32-bit one, which will break 32-bit, obviously. And then just get rid of the _64 in the name.
Okay.
In reality, I do have one downloaded somewhere else, but I'm just trying to save time here. Yep. So when you see x86 _64, that's, Xeon. If it just says x86, that's the older, 32-bit processors. Okay?
Yep.
I'm just looking through things. Do a cat space preamble or PRE asterisk. I am not going to change those right now. I'm looking at the prereqs and everything.
Right.
And notice that it wants GCC and make. See the bottom one?
Yep.
So I usually get rid of the prereq and the requires on both of them.
All the prereqs?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We don't want kernel code loaded. We don't want make. We don't want GCC. And we also don't want it to require let's see, where's the requires?
That's third from the bottom.
Provides.
It's the NVIDIA GFX.
Yeah. But I was looking for one that, that's the KMP. Yeah, that requires. I get rid of that too because I'm going to replace that KMP with my own. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So let's do that. Let's VI these suckers. VI, PRE, splat.
Just
so get rid
out.
of the if, else. We don't end if. Get rid of all three of those. 4, 1, 2, 3, 5 lines there. These are my custom changes in the preambles. Recommends is fine. I get rid of the recommends on the KMP. The third one down. Delete that one.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I was looking for KMP. Okay.
Yep. I don't care about obsoletes, and then get rid of the last 4 lines as well. So this way I can put in a FedCentric RPM that has the kernel modules already pre-built, and that's what we're going to do next. Save that off. Let's look at the second one.
Just save it off as is?
Yeah. Colon W. Okay, we had a second one there.
Dash UVM.
Yes.
Okay.
And get rid of the requires.
All right.
And the prereq. We don't want that stuff. And I don't care what it provides. I just want it. I don't want it to have to pull in compilers, and I don't want it the NVIDIA RPMs to require the NVIDIA kernel RPM, because we're going to have our own RPM for it. Go ahead, quit out of there. You okay right now?
I am.
So I'm just breaking the dependency between the kernel module and the RPMs above it.
Okay.
Now there might be other things that we look at in here later, but right now that was the only change that I remember. And again, part of this is us having the ability to do what I did a month ago, which is still by memory. So let's go up into
You're doing pretty good then.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
It was 3 in the morning. So go up into the specs directory, cd./specs.
All right. I was just in the other window. I was popping open your email. Get that in the Windows. Oh, don't do that. Windows, stop.
Yeah, Tom had Audacity loaded on the UV.
What is Audacity?
I use it too.
Okay. All right,
So
head up to specs.
Uppercase SPECS, yep, go into there, LS. So there are the 2 spec files. Now let's take a look at, I don't really care about the first one. Let's take a look at this. No, we're going to probably VI it. Do a VI on the second one,
Okay,
the X11
VI.
video. Now this builds more than 2 RPMs.
Oh, man.
Okay, now we've been in here before. Do you see that version? We need to change that to a 46. We had it at a 58 before. Second from the bottom line.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Getting there. Okay. Something's not right here. My VI is not working well. Well, that looks better.
Sure.
Well.
Again, I'm trying to do minimal changes to vendor RPMs and commands, so. And Deep One has them building, and we can always compare to how Deep One looks.
Okay.
So we're getting out of there now.
Oh, we are, okay.
At this point, it's a matter of debugging. So, RPM build, all one word, RPM build.
All right.
Dash BA, dash Baker build A, all. Baker.
Yeah. Baker.
All. A.
Oh, BA. That's
Base.
right. All right.
And then let's take that X11 spec file we have there. Capital X, tab.
No, it's a small x.
Oh, it is lowercase, sorry.
Yeah.
Hit enter. And at this point, it's a matter of debugging. So it doesn't like
dependencies. Update desktop files as needed.
So zipper. Space. Let's do the xorg-x11-devel. IN for install, backup. IN space.
Is there a dash?
No. xorg-x11-devel. No, devel. Not Nobel, devel. Yep. Space.
Hearing things.
TEX live. I'm just reading the list off right there. No, text. TEX.
Text.
Live, LIVE.
Okay.
Space, GraphViz. I'm just reading them from the lines above.
Oh, I see. Well, that helps. Space.
And then deoxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Space, update-desktop-files. Now using Zipper, if those things need anything, that should get also pulled in. So it'll say, okay, these things need this. And there we are. It didn't need anything else. So it installed them. Up arrow to the RPM build again. So at this point, we're just debugging and seeing how much further. Oh, well, wait a second.
Well,
we have the wrong rev level. Why do we have something going on here?
Let's see, 30.
Installing graph.
Well, here, deoxygen not found. Package name. Oh, stop at Windows. I forgot my my screen is a touch screen. I can't touch it.
When I loaded these, I didn't have this problem. Something else is going on here. Let's try building the other RPM. I think I did have an order issue. I think I had to build one before the other.
And the other one was what?
NVIDIA, lowercase. Yeah, there you go. Let's see if that builds.
Okay.
Now this I'm expecting. So I think we need to make a note that the UVM needs to be built first. Zipper IN kernel-sims. Notice what else it pulled in.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Big Sim, Trace, Zen.
Yeah, big SMP dev.
Yep.
Devel.
So it pulled in the devs for the other kernels or devels. Up arrow to the RPM build. Let's see if we can get any further now.
For the X11 build?
Yep. No, the base one first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The UVM.
There we go, this one.
Yes. But at this point, it's a matter of iterations here. Okay, so it didn't like something here. No file. It's still 58. We need to edit that thing. BI space little n tab. Change the 58 to the 46 again.
So what we just did that to the X11 one, not this one.
Correct. Again, I deliberately am trying to see problems and fumble my way through it because I want to see what these look like. I'd rather do it now than under pressure.
All right, should
so let's try
build
again. Yep. So now it found it. It's unarchiving it. Now, the other day, I was actually trying to skip steps and say, let me build the RPMs without actually installing it. But then I got bad modules, so I said, well, wait a second. Let me install it and test the module before I try to build RPMs. So I ended up with that bad 58, and I said, well, next time, I didn't really save any time. I had to go back anyways.
So this is actually installing the package then?
Oh, it's missing some stuff in the sources directory. Go back to the sources directory. The names are wrong. 58.
Oh, but see, they're 58 in the sources.
Well, let's get rid of those two.
Okay.
And I guess it's a good thing that I have everything By the way, am now putting the SRC file RPMs in the ISO so that I can recreate it if I have to. So now let's SFTP to the deep one and grab the ones there. CD user source packages sources. And grab those PCI flat. So now when we build this, there's going to be a source RPM created that has all these things except for those two run scripts in the RPM. So
Okay.
I am now including those in my distro so that the source that built them is actually with them. And it looks like it's a good thing because they've updated them to a .58, and now that I went off and grabbed them, they don't match, right?
Right.
Unless you change that 46 to a 58 yourself, but I don't think you did. You remember?
No.
Yeah,
This is just
remember.
what I grabbed. Because
Yep.
if you look at the other window, that's exactly what I pulled down is the 58.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yep.
So let's go CD up, back into the specs directory.
Okay.
And I always rebuild it from what we've got on deep. But let's do the RPM build, see if we get any further this time. And there was a point when I was doing this a month ago, I didn't have those other kernel RPMs installed and it wanted them. But I would like to be able to avoid having to build the stuff for every kernel option.
Right.
Hang in there with me. Another 10 minutes, I think we're done.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good here.
And you got the recorder going.
Right. That's right. Well, that's what I plan to do with those other
Yeah.
kind of with Thought 2 and stuff. Is just
I'm actually working on a task list, and I want to cut them up and then be able to have you click on each piece.
cool.
So there'd be one demonstration of how FCL server's set up, one demonstration on how to get in with a VPN, this demonstrated. I'm just going to cut up all the...
So I did get in through the VPN if I just did the local authentication.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the NIS is where it's kind of crapping out. And yet when I did a TCP dump, it's going to the right port and stuff. So I don't know quite what's happening in that NIS communication, whether NIS is reporting a fail or not.
If you get time tomorrow, let's go to that tomorrow and see if I can get in and get me working through the VPN. Okay.
Good.
So notice that it wrote several
I have to leave here about 8, but I'll be online before that if you're up.
Like I say, every day just check in, but I'm a slave driver. I'm just going to keep trying to get in what I can, right?
Yeah. The other thing, though, is I got a back door, test port, and that's not open through the gateway, so I can't get in that way.
Yeah. So anyways, back to this. You notice that we've got 4 RPMs, looks like. And the first one is a source, srms nvidia.nosrc.
Yeah.
So all the files we built this from, up for, no, not that one. Yeah, that one. So everything that you downloaded from that site and put in the sources directory is in that RPM. And I'm including that RPM now. I am not including the big SMPs or the traces or any of the other kernel choices.
Okay.
Let's try building the other one now.
All right.
Let's see what happens. The uppercase X. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, that one.
Oh,
Let's move on. Let's come back to that.
okay.
I'm wondering if rev levels are right. Do an RPM QA and grep for deoxygen.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So it didn't get loaded for some reason. Let's just try a zipper IN. Let's do them
It
one
said
at a
something
time.
about not finding it.
Deoxygen. No, let's just do one at a time.
Oh, do one at a time? Okay.
Yeah.
See, not found.
Yeah. Do a zipper refresh. Might be in an SDK. I don't know yet. Let's SSH to, or in the right window. Let's go to the right window. Go to / uppercase install.
Oh, there. Good. I
Yep.
thought maybe it stopped responding.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Timeout. CD to it. Find space dot space print dash print pipe grep deoxygen.
Uh,
Oh, you're not
yeah,
root,
yeah. So let me fix that.
but I do see one in rel. Oh, it's in the SDK. Let's go back. What was the other one? Devel. Yeah, those look like SDK RPMs. Go back to your left window now.
All right.
So let's go into YAST. There are different ways of doing it, but let's do YAST. Tab to the right, go to software no, up.
Oh.
Tab to the right, down to software repositories. And then we're going to add. Tab to add. So I usually don't load the SDK. I don't remember adding it here, but in any event. Down to NFS. Tab down to the download and deselect that for me. It might be good, but I'm just going to take it anyway without the
Right.
description files. Tab to next. Server name 10.1.10.15.
Oops. Guess it was already there. Just a sec. Okay.
And then path. By the way, my mother grew up in New Richmond next to the Dairy Queen.
Oh yeah.
And
That's still there.
My father's from Spooner, but he went to high school in Hudson.
Oh.
SLES 11 dash.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Am I
policy.
in add install?
Yeah. /SLES 11 dash SP3 dash SDK. No dash SDK.
Okay. Like that.
And I'm hoping that that's the proper path, but it might need a CD, but I don't think so. Tab to next.
Yeah, I like New Richmond. It's a nice little town.
So we got it. Pick 2, yes, I agree. Yeah, the family home was bought out and tore down, but and okay. And
And
quit.
quit.
Yeah.
So you were right on the lake there then? Was that still there? And
For the Willow River, right at the
yeah.
dam.
And the
Dairy
dam was there?
The Dairy Queen is right where the bridge is, and then it was next door to the Dairy Queen.
Oh, cool.
My mom grew up. And
Yeah,
family had a dairy farm out on 53.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. So let's see if we can install those again. Zipper refresh first. By the way, do a zipper clean just before me. Clean, CLEAN. That will clean up all the metadata about the repositories, and a zipper refresh will reload them. But sometimes a clean is handy to have a clean. So now we up arrow to that zipper that you had. Zipper.
You want to just do the zipper in?
We had a big string, but I don't care. Yes.
Oh, you were looking for the, okay.
Let's find the one that had everything. Up arrow. No. See, we keep
that
going
one.
Up. That one. There it is. Yep. And it's pulling in all kinds of stuff, and now you can see why USPS doesn't want any of this stuff loaded. This is all them. Now we're almost done here. I thought I'd be done right now, but these missing packages stopped me. So we're going to run the second RPM build. And then we got one more RPM that we'll build real quickly, and then we're done.
Okay.
If you can hang in there.
Yep.
I haven't had lunch yet either, so.
Me neither.
And tonight is Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay. You're a fan, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Okay, let's try that RPM build. Cross our fingers this time.
Let's see. We're building the X11 one, this one, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. So aren't they getting to an end of that series?
Next week's the finale to the whole series.
Yeah, next week, huh?
Tuesday night's my TV night because Doctor Who's not showing anymore, so.
Uh-huh.
All
so
looking good.
What else besides Sons of Anarchy on Tuesday night?
Well, tonight's Curse of Oak Island.
Oh.
History Channel on the, so what are we missing there? NVIDIA settings.desktop. So let's go into the sources directory. Do we have anything there? NVIDIA,
No.
don't see anything. Let's just grab it from Deep One, SFTP.
Okay.
Now, these were the spec files that you downloaded.
They are.
Or they weren't my older ones, they are the newer ones.
That's right. I pulled them right from the web there.
So it's looking for a file that didn't get downloaded. It could have been missed easily enough.
Yeah, but I kind of thought I grabbed them all. I'll double check.
I missed a couple, and it's a long list, and there's a second page, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They're NVIDIA settings.desktop. Quit out of there. Let's see if we can go back into the specs directory, see if we can build it.
Okay. Yep, there it is.
At some point when we get time, I want you to be able to, I want to have you practice a little bit, but then I want to spend a day where we try to build everything up as quick as possible. No monkey business.
Okay, here we go. Cross your fingers. So what's this one about Oak Island?
Oh, they think Knights Templar originally built it. It's up in Nova Scotia.
Oh.
They think buried treasure and the Ark of the Covenant and all kinds of stuff could be in there.
Huh.
They have found 17th century coins and a Knights Templar coin, but no gold or Ark of the Covenant.
Okay.
So, looks like that one worked now.
It did. It wrote a package, an RPM.
Waiting for it to wrap up here.
Look at that. Wrote another one.
Now, we're not using most of these RPMs. We only want the one that just built there, the NVIDIA Compute G03.
Okay.
The rest we're not using.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're getting closer.
Right.
I just want to build the last RPM here. So SFTP to Deep 1 again. Go into the specs directory. And grab the FedCentric one. Go ahead. CD into, no, we're not done yet. CD into ITSI modprobe.d. And mget99 asterisk. That's mine.
Okay.
That is unique. Notice it's got GPUDB in its name.
Yep.
The default is at 50-NVIDIA. I placed it at 99 so it runs after. This is what creates the dev NVIDIA devices with proper GPUDB permissions instead of root video.
Go.
Quit out of there. LS. So I'm going to, let's CD up a directory, CD into the sources directory.
Okay.
Now I need to do a make dir. Hang on a second. I want to check this.
Okay.
It's actually in the spec file too.
What's in the spec file?
I'll explain this here in a minute. Okay, so do a make dir.
Wait, just a minute. Get it back.
In the sources directory.
There we go.
I'm just doing FedCentric-NVIDIA-KMP.
Do we just say small letters?
Yes.
Okay, so FedCentric, what? Oh, dash.
-NVIDIA-KMP.
Like that?
Yep. CD into it. Now, I don't like the way NVIDIA does it. Normally, RPMs will create a subdirectory to put all the files, but the way the spec files are written, they're putting it into sources directory. I don't like that. But in any event, we now are going to put the 3 files that we want as part of this in here. So do a move mv space ... // We're going to move that 99 ... /specs /99 asterisk space dot.
Okay.
Okay, now we need the 2 kernel modules. Don't you love long paths?
I know.
Find space /lib/modules -print pipe grep NVIDIA. So that NVIDIA FB, that is bad. That is known as the Nouveau driver, and it gets blacklisted. But do a CP space, that bottom one there, the full path for the NVIDIA UVM-KO, copy it into this directory. Yep. And then there's also an NVIDIA, just up arrow, and get rid of the -UVM. LS. So that's all, again, we are decoupling this RPM so that the NVIDIAs don't depend upon theirs. In fact, they don't depend upon anything, because then I can change this module without having to rip out the NVIDIA stuff. If I were to upgrade kernel and then have to upgrade this RPM, it'll deinstall and reinstall NVIDIA and stuff. So I'm trying to avoid all that monkey business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm decoupling so that the NVIDIA Compute G03 does not require the NVIDIA RPM, and instead I am putting this one in place. There are no dependencies in here so that I can change the one underneath without dependencies at the upper layers.
Cool.
That makes sense? When we edited the preambles, that got rid of the requires and the dependencies and the compilations.
Right. Yeah.
And I already had these compiled. When we ran the run script to install on this system, it put them in place. So I should have tested them. In fact, why don't we do that for a second here?
Okay.
NVIDIA-SMI. we never did check. -SMI, enter. We were getting a fatal error with the 58. Now, it takes a little bit to go off and probe things.
Okay, so, well, there we go. That's better.
Good. That worked.
Yeah.
Remember when we were at the 58, we got that VMXL error or something like that?
Right.
Machine layer error of whatever sort. I don't remember the message. Notice it says there's a 340.46 driver there, too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And it's on 3400. Okay?
Yep.
So, in your directory there now, we need to zip that up. So go up a directory, and I want to do a tar -C BF, and then that's FED tab. No, backspace now. Get rid of this. I want to turn it into .tar.
Yeah.
And hang on a second. I want it as a -1.1.tar. -1.1.tar. AMP. Oops. Yeah.
Like that?
There we go. -1.1. -1.1.
Oh, you want a dash. Sorry.
AMP dash.
I heard the dash and I put in a dot.
Yeah. So that's hard-coded in the spec file. We could change it, but that's what it's expecting.
Okay.
Hit enter. Go ahead.
Why? It's going to tie up everything here, isn't it?
No, we want the FedCentric directory. Space, tab, Fed.
Yeah.
Enter.
Okay. We ready to tar that up?
Yes. Now bzip to it. bzip2 on that tar file.
There.
Tab.
There we go.
There you go. CD back into the specs directory once this builds were done.
Okay.
So RPM build -BA on that FedCentric spec file. So it's going through dependencies right now. Now, if I try to load this module with a different kernel, it will complain that the kernel doesn't match what it's built for. But I can always override that and link that thing. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So I can always just say force it --no deps, install it, and then use it with a different kernel. That's what that weak modules that we talked about earlier in this discussion was about. Okay, so let's CD up a directory. Go into RPMS. CD into x86. Okay. Now, I don't want most of these RPMs. Let's do a makedir/temp/ISO. I'm just being lazy. /temp/ISO.
Okay.
Yep. Now let's copy the FedCentric one into that directory. And then copy, we just want the NVIDIA-compute. About the fifth one down. Okay, let's CD into that directory. Now let's just go there. CD into it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's SFTP to Thought2. And CD, what was the directory you called it? GPUDB, CD into GPUDB.
Okay.
And let's see, we don't have the NVIDIA, we don't have the FedCentric ones in there. I didn't want to step on the ones we got. Let's get those. Now remember, this is a newer SGI stack.
So we want to get mget
Asterisk. I sent you a document today with all the RPMs involved here.
Uh-huh.
I did it for Sherrod. Let's quit out of there.
Okay.
LS. There's one in there, the GPUDB-IPF. About a third of the way down, GPUDB-IPF. Scrub that sucker. They decided today to not do it in an RPM format, so remove that thing. And I'm just going through the list here. There is actually a newer GPUDB-HA. We may as well grab that one.
Where's that?
Let's SFTP to FCL-server. They just did this to me today. Secret.
There we go.
CD into /install, uppercase I, GPUDB, /puppet, /modules, /GPUDB, /files. And get GPUDB asterisk. These were changes since our last week. So quit out of there. LS. At this point, I'm not going to grab sources or anything like that. But okay, so now let's get out of that directory. CD. Yast. Down to miscellaneous. Bottom one.
Just a minute.
Down arrow.
Yeah. Trying to get control of my computer again.
Tab to add on creator. Tab to the next window. Hit enter.
Okay.
This is going to make our ISO. So we're going to create from the beginning. Hit next.
Okay.
I always create from the beginning. It doesn't seem to like if I've changed things underneath. Let's just call it GPUDB.
Okay.
Tab to version. This is a 2.0 because we're using newer SGI software.
All right.
Tab to next. So I'm going to bump that first number every time we go up on an SGI release.
All right. Good idea.
Minor number is for patches. So we can tweak these, but I don't really care. Just tab to next. You can go back in and look at this anytime. Oops. Okay, so we need to set the base architecture and vendors. So tab to the top. There you are. Hit enter. And x86_64, I would guess. Tab to OK. Hit enter. Tab down to edit. Hit enter. I thought it'd give me the actual choices here. Let's just get out of there. That's fine. And tab, we needed vendor as well. Go back up.
Oh, this map.
Down to vendor. About 8 down. Yeah, there you go. Hit enter. FedCentric. I don't know if I want to call it Gaia or FedCentric or anything, but Steve likes everything FedCentric. And we might be calling this MCD, Memory Concentric Database GPU version or something, but I'm just going with simplicity. Or tab to OK. And tab to next. I'm not doing a product file. Okay. What happened here? Location of file. Let's go back. We missed something. We're not pointing to the temp ISO directory. Go to back. And go back again. I missed the box. Go back again. There you are. Path to directory, second from the bottom box. Let's go up too, by the way. Go up. I'll select required product as SLES, the first one. Go to the top one there. There you go.
This one?
Yep. And then tab to path. /temp/ISO.
Okay.
Tab to next. Don't need that one. Tab to next.
Oh, okay. Because we were doing required products, I was thinking we were going to have to put in a path.
So if there were other dependencies and stuff, we could pull them in from a different location, but I put them all into one.
So now our value changed to no arch, x86_64.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Some of the RPMs were no arch, so that's why I didn't pick it up. Go back to edit. Go back to edit.
Okay.
Since we didn't give a path for the directory, see if that gives me options now. Enter.
No.
Okay, never mind. Tab to OK. I thought it had a pull down. Up arrow, down arrow might have done something, but I didn't try that. So tab to next. You can go back and play with this ad nauseum here. So there's all the RPMs. Tab to next.
Oops.
Okay. And I'm not doing any pattern here, but we could put a GPUDB pattern. I have done that on a couple of my ISOs, but I'm still playing around and experimenting, really. Tab to next. Path to output. Let's just put it /temp. Tab to select create ISO. Good. Tab to optional files. Enter. I haven't figured out how to do a docs directory yet, not from the GUI. So that info.txt, I'm sticking the manifest in.
Right.
And then the installation directions that I've got, I'm putting in the README. We don't have either right now. But I'll tab into the info.txt and then paste my manifest into it. Okay? Tab to next. And I'm not doing anything about copies or licenses. Tab to next.
Yeah, I was there and then I got off. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not doing anything about copying or copyrights. We can play with that stuff later. Next.
All right.
And now we're ready. Hit next. Tab to next. By the way, that change log will go through all the RPMs change logs, and then you get this huge change log. So I don't like using that anymore.
Hmm.
Oh, we don't have a key here. Let's tab to create. I have a key on the other system, but tab to create.
I got back up there. There we go.
Enter. Expiration date. I think just tab. Put in name, comment. Go ahead. Let's just fake one. I don't care about that one. Tab to the next one. Just call it test.
All right.
Tab to comment. Do test again. Email address. Let's just do test@bedcentric.com. I don't know. See if it complains. I don't think it actually checks it. Passphrase. So this is going to be the secret passphrase. Let's just use SGI right now.
Okay.
Tab to accept. So this is going to generate a GPG key. There's your key ID, 3E, the 9th C4A3E48. The GPG command can manipulate this thing. Tab to passphrase. SGI. Verify it. Resign. And I've been having problems in this area, but go on to next. Passwords don't match.
Yeah, well, maybe I just, okay, let me try it again.
Backspace. Yeah.
Better.
And finish. Now, we're not building it yet. We just configured it.
Oh, I see.
So now you tab to build. Go ahead, hit enter. Now, I was getting an error message where it's asking for secret key and a -A option. And what I was doing, I was just going back through the screens that we had before, and after a pass or two, it fixes it. And no complaint. Tab to finish.
Cool.
Quit. Oh, let's actually go back into YAS for a second. Go to software repository. Let's go to add-on products. Up, tab to the right, go to add-on products, hit enter. Okay, we're going to be a file, so tab to add.
Oops.
Go down to local ISO image, last one there. Now we built a YAS too. We used YAS to create this thing, so it has repository description files. That's what we just generated. Tab to next. Okay, /temp/gpudb-2.0.iso /temp/gpudb-2.0.iso -2.0 gpudb-2.0.iso.
There we go.
Tab to next. This is about an hour longer than you thought when you called me.
I know.
So look at now.
It's all good.
So notice it's got the GPG key that we generated on the fly. We're going to import it. Now, after I've imported it, that zipper clean would expunge all that stuff. Import.
Right.
So if I did a zipper clean, all that metadata stuff would get tossed. And then a refresh would load it back in. Tab to the search, tab up, shift tab, down arrow, or up arrow, whichever one.
And what do you want me to do here?
Up arrow or down arrow. Get the pull down menu.
Oh.
There you are. Go to up one to repositories.
All right.
Hit enter. And tab down. And down one. No, actually, I think we want the last one. one. Yeah, the last one I think is
This
the
guy?
2.0. Yeah, that's the 2.0. And there's all the RPMs.
Cool.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
done.
Awesome.
So go ahead and quit out of there, and I'm gonna go start my dinner. And I know you're probably got everyone chomping at the bit too. So appreciate your patience on this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The pain part, the thing we still missed was the kernel, and we got to get you building a kernel, and it's an hour and a half to build to actually get the make running. So
All
we
right,
should,
well,
record that session on a separate day.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for your
Enjoy
patience with
challenge.
me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good.
Don't be afraid to give me a call. If you get stuck on anything at night, send me email. You can call.
I will.
I don't